welcome to Courts Today by Live Law. I am Urvashi Chauhan with your daily roundup of legal updates from across the country. In today's episode, we bring you major updates from the Supreme Court and the High Courts, from a fresh plea on the NEET PG quota row in Chandigarh to a landmark move by the Kerala High Court enabling e-filing from prisons. We also track major updates on the Maratha reservation case, a 74 lakh fraud complaint against HDFC Bank, and a key judicial remarks on financial integrity in bank jobs. And in a rare intervention, the Uttarakhand High Court has set aside a 20-year-old sentence ordering a retrial after a blind accused was denied fair trial due to the documents not being provided in the Braille script. Let us get to the updates. Please remember to watch till the end, subscribe, and make sure to hit the bell icon. A contempt petition has been filed in the Supreme Court alleging that recent decision to convert Union Territory quota seats in Chandigarh into All India quota seats violates the Apex Court's ruling in Tanvi Bahal versus Shrey Goyal. To recap, in January this year, a 3-judge bench comprising Justices Rishikesh Roy, Sudhanshu Dhulia, and SVN Bhatti held that residence-based reservation in PG medical admission under state or union territory quotas was unconstitutional and violated Article 14 of the Constitution. The court allowed only a limited degree of institutional preference and directed that state quota seats be filled purely on neat merit. This decision came in appeals challenging the Punjab and Haryana High Court's verdict concerning Government Medical College, Chandigarh. Despite this, petitioners now claim that the Chandigarh administration breached the court's ruling. They argue that an initial public notice issued on 9th April correctly stated that the remaining PG seats under UT quota would be filled via institutional preference as per the Supreme Court's ruling. However, a new public notice on 3rd June reversed this decision. It stated that those seats would now be filled through the All India quota by inviting fresh NEET PG applications, a move the petitioners say goes against the spirit and letter of the Tanvi Bahal judgment. When the contempt matter was mentioned before a bench of Justices K.V. Vishwanathan and N. Koteshwar Singh, they directed that the case be placed before Chief Justice of India B.R. Gavai so it can be heard by the original bench that authored the Tanvi Bahal verdict. Justice Vishwanathan observed that since the matter involves possible contempt, it must go back to the same judges. He added that while the admissions are already over, they can be reversed if there is found to be a breach. Appearing for the petitioners, advocate on record Jagjit Singh Chhabra argued that not a single seat from the Chandigarh state quota could lawfully be moved to the All India quota. On the other hand, Additional Solicitor General Archana Pathak Dave, representing the union, denied any contempt. She said that while the Tanvi Bahal ruling struck down domicile-based reservations, it did not prescribe how the vacated seats should be allocated. She also pointed out that admissions have already been completed and students have begun submitting their documents. The Supreme Court has now referred the case to the appropriate bench for further hearing, possibly reopening the debate on the scope and implications of the Tanvi Bahal in future medical admissions. The Kerala High Court is set to introduce a significant digital reform by enabling e-filing of jail appeals and other petitions from 57 jails across the state. Starting from 1st July, prisoners will be able to file appeals and applications seeking judicial remedies directly from jail using an online system. This marks a crucial step in improving access to justice for incarcerated individuals and bringing efficiency to the legal process. Until now, jail appeals, particularly those filed under Section 424 of the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita and other petitions, were prepared in physical form. These were then dispatched to the High Court through a manual process, often leading to delays and administrative burden. Observing the absence of a digital alternative, Chief Justice Nitin Jamdar had directed officials to explore the possibility of introducing an e-filing mechanism for the jail-related legal matters. Following this directive, the Registrar General of the High Court convened a meeting with officials from Prisons and Correctional Services Department. As a result, it was decided to extend the High Court's existing e-filing facility to jail authorities. This would allow digital processing of jail appeals and related applications such as parole and furlough, enabling quicker and more transparent access to the judicial system. To ensure smooth and uniform implementation, 2 separate standard operating procedures were prepared. The Kerala State Legal Services Authority prepared one SOP focusing on standardizing the role of legal aid paid defense counsel, jail visiting lawyers, and the transmission of required documents to the High Court Legal Services Committee. The second SOP prepared by the IT Directorate of the High Court lays down technical procedures for online filing using the case management system with login credentials assigned to the officer in charge of each jail. The Chief Justice has approved both SOPs and directed their implementation across all prisons with effect from 1st July. This move is expected to streamline legal processes for prisoners and ensure timely judicial remedies without the need for paper-based filings. Moving ahead, a petition has been filed in the top court challenging Bombay High Court's interim order that refused to stay the implementation of the 2024 Maratha Reservation Law. The High Court had allowed the Maratha community to avail 10% reservation in education and public employment on a provisional basis, pending the final outcome of the case. The new petition argues that the High Court's decision effectively lets the law operate in the meantime, which defeats the very purpose of the legal challenge. The matter was mentioned before a bench of Justices K.V. Vishwanathan and N.K. Singh, which agreed to list the case during the reopening week of the Supreme Court starting 14th July. The counsel pressing for urgent listing pointed out that both the Supreme Court and even the Bombay High Court had stayed the Maratha quota in earlier rounds of litigation. Therefore, refusing to stay it now, despite a constitutional challenge being pending, was quite concerning. The interim order being challenged was passed by a 3-judge bench of the Bombay High Court on 11th June. The court permitted 10% Maratha reservation to operate under the SEBC category, but made it subject to the final verdict in the ongoing case. To expedite the process, the High Court also proposed to hold special Saturday hearings in line with a direction from the Supreme Court to dispose of the matter swiftly. Let me tell you, the law in question is the Maharashtra State Reservation for Socially and Educationally Backward Classes Act 2024, which was passed by the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly on 20th February last year. It is based on the report of the Maharashtra State Backward Class Commission headed by retired Justice Sunil B. Sukhre. The report cited exceptional circumstances and extraordinary situations as grounds to provide the Maratha community with 10% reservation, despite the fact that Maharashtra already crosses the 50% reservation ceiling set by the Supreme Court in 1992 Indira Sohne judgment, also known as the Mandal Commission case. Notably, in 2021, a 5-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court had struck down the earlier 2018 Maratha quota law, which provided 16% reservation to the community. The court held that there were no exceptional circumstances to justify breaching the 50% ceiling, and that the available data failed to prove the social and educational backwardness of the Maratha community as required under constitutional standards. With the latest law facing similar constitutional scrutiny and the High Court having declined to halt its implementation, the top court will now once again be called upon to examine whether the Maratha quota can stand the test of constitutional limits. Stay tuned. Online banking has made life easier, but it's also brought new risks. These days, many people are falling victim to bank frauds, where money disappears from their accounts due to unauthorized transactions, fake calls, or misuse of banking details. Even a small mistake can lead to huge financial losses. That's why it is very important to be careful, and also for banks to make sure that their systems are safe and secure. In a recent case, the Delhi High Court has issued notices to the RBI Banking Ombudsman and HDFC Bank after a customer alleged that he was defrauded of over 74 lakhs through unauthorized virtual transactions. The petitioner Manmohan Kumar approached the High Court claiming that a virtual debit card was created on his account without his consent, and a series of fraudulent transactions totaling 74,61,990 were carried out. According to Kumar, his registered mobile number and email ID were also changed without his knowledge, a move that should normally require multi-level authentication, including OTP verification. Though the bank initially reversed the fraudulent transaction, it later debited the entire amount back from his account, leaving it in negative balance. HDFC Bank, in its defense, denied any deficiency of service, arguing that the transactions had been authenticated through OTPs and pinning the blame on the customer. When Kumar's complaint to the banking ombudsman was closed, he moved the High Court for relief. His counsel argued that the bank and authorities are now shifting responsibility onto him without explaining how a virtual debit card was created or how his registered contact details were changed, both of which should have required secure credentials. that the petitioner says he never shared. After hearing the arguments, Justice Vikas Mahajan issued notices and directed the RBI, the Ombudsman, and HDFC Bank to file their responses within 4 weeks. The matter is now listed for hearing on 29th July. Stay tuned with Live Law. In a significant judgment that highlights the importance of financial discipline in the banking sector, the Madras High Court has upheld State Bank of India's decision to cancel appointment of a candidate due to his adverse CIBIL credit report. Justice N. Mala, who heard the case, observed that banking employees handle public money and therefore must display strict financial discipline. The court held that a person with a poor track record of loan repayment cannot be trusted with public funds, and the bank was justified in finding such candidates ineligible. The case arose after the petitioner, who had applied for the post of circle-based officer, challenged the cancellation of his appointment. He had successfully cleared the exam interview and medical checks and was even issued an appointment letter on 16th March 2021. However, based on a CIBIL report taken just days earlier, the bank flagged multiple irregularities in his credit history, including loan defaults and over 10 credit inquiries. He was asked to explain the findings, but despite his response, the bank went ahead and revoked the appointment. The petitioner argued that he had cleared his dues before the notification date, was never declared a defaulter, and claimed that similarly placed candidates had been appointed, making the bank's action discriminatory. He contended that the cancellation under Clause 1E of the eligibility criteria related to financial integrity was illegal and arbitrary. However, the State Bank of India maintained that its eligibility criteria clearly disqualify candidates with default history or adverse CIBIL reports. The bank also accused the petitioner of suppressing material information about his financial past and stated that his case was distinct from others as he had defaulted on multiple installments. After examining the CIBIL data and the eligibility rules, the court concluded that bank's decision was fair and well-founded. It also dismissed the argument of discrimination, noting that only those who met all eligibility norms were appointed. Finding no merit in the petition, the High Court refused to interfere and dismissed the case. And lastly, in a significant ruling, the Uttarakhand High Court has set aside the conviction and 20-year jail term awarded to a visually impaired music teacher accused of raping minor students. The court held that the accused had been denied a fair trial because the case documents were not provided to him in Braille, the only script that he could read. In January last year, the trial court convicted him and sentenced him to 20 years in prison. However, during the appeal, the Deputy Advocate General admitted that all case documents were shared with the accused in Devanagari script and not in Braille. The High Court noted that this violated Section 12 of the Right of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016, which guarantees equal access to justice for disabled individuals. A bench of Justice G. Narendra and Justice Alok Mahra observed that failure to furnish documents in an accessible format had seriously prejudiced the accused's right to understand the charges and instruct his lawyer properly. The judges stated that the inability to read the material against him amounted to a denial of justice and rendered the entire trial unfair. The court further observed that the failure to provide materials in an accessible format compromised the accused's ability to assist in his own defense. Calling it a clear deprivation of the right to a fair trial, the court set aside the conviction and remitted the case back to the trial court for a fresh trial, this time ensuring that all relevant documents are furnished in Braille.